AITA for forcing my family to babysit, so I won't have to? I'm 19F, living at home, working a part-time job, doing some freelance stuff and taking some online courses all in preparation for attending college next year. My sister, 25F, had her first child 8 months ago. The father isn't involved and only pays CS. My mom is excited to have her first grandchild and is constantly offering to look after the baby so my sister can feel at ease working full-time and afterwards will have some time for herself to relax. The thing is, about 70% of the time I'll be the one looking after the baby, and while I admit that I enjoy it and like spending time with him, I can't help but feel mad because they don't have any consideration for my time. Mom would drop the baby while I'm in the middle of my lessons because you can always watch the recordings later or just ask someone to tell you what it was about. Or when I'm working in my freelance stuff because looking after the baby doesn't really require much when I complain about getting delayed in my projects. My breaking point happened last week when my mother and sister left the baby with me for a whole day because I mistakenly told them I didn't have to work and would be staying at home to catch up with some pending stuff and study. I told them both irresponsible and they called me a spoiled brat. That night, my grandma and other members of the extended family were calling and sending me messages about the importance of helping family and to understand that my sister doesn't have it easy being a single mom. I got mad and sent a message to the family group chat saying that they were right, helping family is important and we all should be supportive of my sister. I then proceeded to write a schedule in which all of us could take care of the baby. Because one aunt goes to visit grandma on Mondays and Wednesdays mornings they could babysit those days. Eldest cousin and her siblings are at their home Fridays afternoon? Well, they can babysit that time, and so on. I left Saturday mornings and Tuesday evenings as my time to babysit. My sister and my mom were very pleased with the arrangement. The other family, not so much. And when someone pointed out that my sister didn't get the baby for a whole day, discussions about my sister being an irresponsible mother started, with my mother trying to defend her. AITA for causing this? How come they were expecting me to be my sister's unpaid nanny, but then they get offended when the same thing is being forced on them? I may be the AH because I caused this and don't regret it one bit. Update. Okay, a lot of things happened. Honestly, I'm still not in the mood to provide a full update. The main points are, my sister did try to impose the babysitting schedule I made and the family wasn't happy. Mom, sis, and I had a big discussion, hurtful things were said on both ends and I'm currently staying with my BFF and his GF. Total sweethearts, but not a feasible long-term arrangement, even though they have said I could stay with them as long as I need. The family is complaining non-stop and I'm feeling guilty because technically, I'm the one who caused this by creating the schedule in the first place. Maybe I should just sucked it up, and I do really feel sorry for my nephew. All the family usually gets together on Sundays and this time, my grandma's eldest daughter, mom's eldest sister, is coming from another state. This is kind of like a big thing since she's grandma's golden child, in a good way, and kind of like the leader of the family. I'm both hopeful and nervous. If someone can solve this shitshow, it's her, but at the same time I'm worried about her blaming me like everyone else. I'll provide a full update then. Also, sorry for not having the time to answer all the comments and PMs, like I said, a lot of things happened. But here's some of the questions some people asked. 1. My relationship with mom and sis, it was pretty good before my sister got pregnant. We, sis and I, always knew that she was more favored by our mom because they had more common interests, while it was the same case for me and my dad. This wasn't necessarily a bad thing, think it more of a if one of us wanted to visit a friend or in specific favor, we knew which parent to ask. We would actually team up sometimes to convince them of something, me appealing to dad and sis to mom. Sadly, dad passed away 5 years ago. He was an amazing father and we were absolutely heartbroken, but the one good thing that came out of it was that it helped us bond. Dad loved classical music and was really into IT and programming. I would go to concerts with him and he got me into gaming. After his passing, Mom began to buy tickets to classical concerts and the three of us would go together as a way to remember him. We also went to watch Super Mario movie because my dad Walvi loved to be there, even if sis and mom knew little of the franchise. So, things going this bad makes me pretty sad. 2. My job. I work part-time at a kids after-school academy. We tutor them at the subjects they find hard and help them do their homework and prepare for test. My freelance job is video/audio editing for my BFF and his GF. Both are streamers/content creators. They know about my Reddit post but asked me to leave out their personal details, so please don't ask for their accounts. I do 1 weekly video for her, and 1 or 2 for him. 3. Do I pay rent? No, I don't. Dad had a hard time with his family, and while my sis and I didn't know the details and are NC with them, we kind of imagine what went down. Dad left the house to Mom and make her promise to make it a safe place for us, sis and I. They decided to accept us for paying rent as long as we cover for us expenses ourselves. Sister and I cover our groceries, cell phones, some services, and I pay part of their gas whenever they give me a ride because I don't have a car. 4. Extended family. As I said, we are NC with Dad's family. Mom, 50Y, is the third of 4 siblings. Eldest aunt, eldest uncle, deceased, was the father of the cousins I mentioned in my first post, and young uncle, 39Y, single. Grandma is currently 77 years old. 5. My nephew's dad. He and my sister were together for about 2 years. When she found out she was pregnant and wished to keep the baby, the relationship ended, as he is child-free. A paternity test was conducted after my nephew was born and he was the father. He pays CS as has no contact with the baby. His parents, nephew's paternal GM and GF, do keep in touch, and by what I was told, them along with the rest of their family didn't approve of his actions regarding my sister and nephew. So far, they don't know what's going on, and I didn't involve them in the initial babysitting schedule because I'm sure that would have been another whole shit show. Update 2. A lot of things happened and I'm finally in the mood to write the update, so here it goes. My sister did follow my scheduled for babysitting that involved our extended family, and well, they weren't happy. 2 days after my post, she left my nephew with one of our aunts. She, aunt, was meeting some friends for brunch and had to take baby with her. Baby was fussy and crying and she had to come home early. Aunt was understandably pissed off. I had agreed to babysit the next day, and that's when things began going downhill. My nephew is used to be with me, but this time he was very fussy and coughing and I thought something was odd. Mom wasn't home and I tried to call her, but she didn't answer it until about 2 hours later. She came home, checked my nephew, and he had a light fever. Of course, we called my sister and she blamed our aunt for taking out the baby. How dare she have a life while being forced to babysit? She accused our aunt in the family chat and a whole discussion blew up. Suddenly, my mom and sister remembered I was the one who involved the whole family with the babysitting schedule, and then I was the one at fault. That was my breaking point. I ended up yelling my sister that she was negligent and a part-time mother for my nephew. Not my proudest moment, and I immediately regretted it, NGL. My mother countered that if my dad, he passed away 5 years ago, listened to me, he would have been very disappointed me. That killed me because I was really close to him and he always put family above all. Still, I was mad, so I said that I expected my sister to reimburse me the amount I took out from my college fund in full. Not my proudest moment, and I immediately regretted it, NGL. Some info. When my sister and I were born, Dad and Mom set up a college fund for each of us. Dad always encouraged us to study and improve ourselves, and when my nephew was born, I took $5,000 from my fund to start one for him to honor my dad, as I'm sure he would have done the same. After that, I packed a bag and took an Uber to my BFF's department. I told him what happened and he and his GF invited me to stay with them as long as I needed. I blocked my mother, sister, and the rest of the family and spent the following days both avoiding them and worrying about my nephew. Last Friday, I received a call from an unknown number. It was one of my eldest aunt daughters. She and her family live in another state, so they mostly followed the drama from afar, and my cousin told me they were coming to visit and my aunt was going to have a serious chat with all of us. NGL, I was really nervous. I think I mentioned this on my previous post. My mom, 50Y, is the third of 4 siblings. We'll call them Rose, eldest aunt, Mario, eldest uncle, deceased, father of the cousins I mentioned on my first post, my mom, and John, youngest uncle. There's also Jane, Mario's widow, and the aunt that I mentioned in this post that took out the baby. Rose is pretty much my grandma's golden child, in a good way, the second mother to her siblings and overall a very strong woman. She and her husband have 5 adopted children, and due to the complicated logistics, my uncle and 2 of his sons are doctors, and the youngest of that set of cousins is at college, so to hear that they are suddenly coming over was a very big deal. Sunday came. My BF and his GF accompanied me to Grandma's house for moral support. Rose and her family were already there and I spent most of the time avoiding my mom and sis. Deep down I knew she wouldn't dare to yell or call me out in front of Rose, as she's scared of making her angry. After some hours, Rose finally addressed the elephant in the room. It was a long, emotive discussions and we all ended up crying, so I'll sum up the main points. 1. Baby nephew is a human being, not a stray puppy to be passed around. He needs some stability. 2. Stop with the "if you could afford to / wish to have a child, why did you have it" comments. Nephew is here and he's not going anywhere, let's focus on solutions. 3. To my sis, as a mother, you need to learn to put your child first, and while it's okay to rely on help sometimes, don't do it all the time, is bad for the baby and the others involved. 4 to my mother, stop enabling her. 5 to the rest of the family, unless you're willing to offer some solutions, don't meddle in other people's affairs. 6 to me, about the babysitting schedule, well done kiddo, and I cried in relief. My sister then admitted that while she loves my nephew, she felt unfit to be a mother and wasn't fully conscious of the responsibility it would take to raise him. Apparently, my mother was aware of that and her response was to make me babysit my nephew in order to make my sister feel less stressed out. And yes, to make me hopefully change my mind about having kinds in the future. Rose also talked to mom about that. Rose then said that, worst case scenario, she and my cousins talked and either her eldest son and daughter were willing to adopt my nephew. Apparently, both discussed it with respective spouses and all on board if it came to that. To be honest, while it's good that my nephew would be in a loving and safe home, Rose and my cousins are amazing people, it would hurt not seeing him as often anymore. Rose emphasized to my sister to think it carefully and that if it came to that, it would be a permanent adoption, not a daycare service where she could dump him for days/weeks and then pick him up later. That's mainly it. My sister will be seeing a therapist next week, Mom, and I have apologized, and I clarified I didn't actually wanted to be reimbursed for the money in nephew's college fund. Also, some members of the extended family also apologized for pressuring me to babysit in the first place. I'm back at my house and have compromised to babysit 3 times a week, all according to my personal schedule and for a reasonable period of time. During one of those 3 times my sister will be joining me as she admitted she felt she didn't really know my nephew and haven't really bonded with him. So, since the baby is somewhat attached to me, the 3 of us will be spending some time together. Overall, I think it was a good resolution, but time will tell. I really hope my sis will improve and be the mom my nephew deserves. Thank you all for the support and the comments. Whenever I felt that what I did was wrong, your comments really helped to lessen the guilt, and some of you even make me laugh. Hopefully, this will be my last update. So, thank you all.